Something has been bothering me for years in Thailand. Something I couldn't quite put my finger on until now, but it is something that I have started to comprehend. It explains a very specific piece of the Thai political and cultural psychology that most Western foreigners never quite manage to name, and it is the way this country carries itself, the specific way its political class talks about it, the way its media covers it, the way its institutions behave whenever they interact with the outside world. If you were dropped into Thailand from Mars with no prior context, and you watched how the country presents itself in its own official communications, in its own news coverage, in its own diplomatic posture, and in the tone of its ministerial announcements, you would come away with one very specific conclusion. You would think Thailand is the centre of the universe. It is not. I want to be careful here because I do not think England is the centre of the universe either. I do not think any country is. What I am pointing at is the specific gap between how Thailand sees itself and how the rest of the world actually sees Thailand, and how that gap shapes almost every dysfunctional aspect of how the country handles its own affairs. Because the self-image the Thai political class carries of Thailand as a uniquely important, uniquely superior, uniquely deserving nation is one of the specific reasons that the country cannot honestly diagnose its own problems, cannot make the reforms it badly needs, cannot engage with the outside world on realistic terms, and cannot treat its own foreign residents as anything other than lucky beneficiaries of the specific privilege of being allowed to live inside the specific greatness of the country. Let me walk you through what I mean, because I want you to see the specific pattern clearly. The first place you see the pattern is the way Thai ministers talk about the country. Watch a Thai Prime Ministerial press conference, watch a Thai Foreign Ministry briefing, watch the language used whenever a Thai minister addresses an international issue. The tone is always the tone of a country that considers itself, on some deep level, one of the most important nations on earth. The vocabulary reaches for words like reputation, dignity, honour, standing, prestige at frequencies you would not hear from the ministerial class of most other countries 3 or 4 times Thailand's actual size and influence. When Prime Minister Anutin talked about the recent murders in Chonburi, the concern he articulated was Thailand's reputation. When Thai officials discuss any policy shift, the framing is usually about how it will affect Thailand's standing in the world. When diplomats address international bodies, the tone is one of a country that expects to be taken as seriously as any G7 member and that treats any suggestion otherwise as an affront. The reality is different. Thailand is a middle-income Southeast Asian country of just under 70 million people with a GDP that ranks around 27th in the world, a per capita income that is a fraction of the developed world, and an economy that is heavily dependent on tourism and export manufacturing, a military that is somewhat significant regionally but not globally, and a diplomatic footprint that is respectable within ASEAN but modest beyond it. Thailand is a real country with real strength and a real place in the world, but it is not on any honest measure one of the most important nations on earth. It is one of many similarly sized middle-income countries, each of which contributes something to the global picture without being central to it. That is a perfectly respectable position. Most countries in the world are in exactly this category. The specific pathology of Thailand is not being in that category. It is being in that category while behaving as though it is somewhere else entirely. The second place you see the pattern is in the way Thai media covers the world. Read the English language Thai press for a week and pay attention to the framing of every international story. When something happens in the wider world, the angle almost always circles back to Thailand. How does this affect Thailand? What does this mean for Thailand? What have world leaders said about Thailand in connection with this? What is the Thai official response? The gravity of the coverage always pulls back toward the country itself, as though the country is the primary lens through which all international events should be understood. This is not how any healthy national media operates. Healthy national media covers the world as the world, and covers the country in relation to it. Thai media covers the world as material to be interpreted through the country's own self-image. And this is not because Thai journalists are stupid or because Thai readers are parochial. It is because the editorial framework of the country is set by a political class that considers Thailand's own concerns to be the specific frame through which everything else should be understood. The third place you see the pattern is in the way Thai institutions treat foreign residents. And this is the piece that connects the wider self-image to the very specific experience of the Western foreigner who has to live inside the country. The attitude of the Thai state toward the long-term foreign resident is not the attitude of a country negotiating with equal partners. It is the attitude of a country doing a huge favour by permitting the foreigner to be there at all. The language of every Thai immigration interaction, every visa renewal, every bureaucratic engagement carries the implication that the foreigner is a lucky beneficiary of Thai generosity and that any request or complaint or expectation on his part is an act of ingratitude towards a country that owes him nothing. The reality, again, is different. Thailand is not doing the Western foreigner any favours whatsoever by allowing him to live in the country. The Western foreigner is one of the reasons the Thai economy has functioned at the level it has functioned for the last 40 years. Tourist spending, retirement pensions being cashed into the local economy, business investment, knowledge transfer, a huge one, the specific stability that comes from a large diaspora of professional and retired foreigners with a stake in the country. All of these are contributions the Western foreigner has made to Thailand and continues to make to this day. The country would be measurably worse off without them. But the self-image of the Thai state does not permit the acknowledgement of this. The institutional posture is one of the country as the generous host, and the foreigner as the fortunate guest, and any suggestion that the relationship is reciprocal is treated as an insult to the specific greatness of the country that the country believes that it possesses for itself. The fourth place you see the pattern is in the reaction to any foreign criticism. When international outlets publish critical coverage of Thailand, whether it is the issues covered by Human Rights Watch, or specific reporting done by Reuters, or the commentary published by The Economist, the specific reaction of the Thai political class is not the reaction of a country weighing the criticism and considering whether it has merit. It is the reaction of a country that considers itself above criticism and that treats any foreign observation of its internal affairs as an act of interference that damages the specific dignity the country believes it is entitled to. Individual foreign journalists have been prosecuted for coverage that would be considered routine political speech in any developed country. Foreign commentators have been added to Thai blacklists. Foreign publications have been threatened with legal action. The pattern is not one of a country participating in the international conversation about itself. It is a pattern of a country that considers itself the specific arbiter of what may and may not be said about it, on the very specific assumption that its own self-image is the correct one and any deviation from that self-image is a mistake to be corrected at all costs. And this is the problem, because this self-image is what prevents the country from ever honestly diagnosing what is actually happening to it. The reforms Thailand badly needs in property law, in tax law, in education, in the judiciary, in the entire architecture of how the state relates to its citizens and to its foreign residents, all require the very willingness to adapt and admit that the current arrangements are not working. That admission is impossible for a country that considers itself the centre of the universe. If you already believe you are the specific model of good governance the rest of the world should look up to, you cannot honestly diagnose your own dysfunction. If you already believe your very specific arrangements are the correct ones, you cannot honestly consider whether they need to change. The self-image itself becomes the obstacle to the changes the country badly needs, and every year the gap between the self-image and the reality only gets wider. And every year, the ability of the country to adapt gets weaker. I want to end with the observation that this is not a Thai problem uniquely. Every country carries some form of version of its self-image that is more flattering than the reality. Every country does this to some minor degree. What is very specific about Thailand is the intensity of the self-image and the gap between the self-image and the reality, and the consequences for how the country handles its own affairs. Thailand's self-image problem is the reason it cannot do any of these things effectively, because the specific admission of a need to change would require the loss of face the self-image forbids. If you are watching this as a Western foreigner considering Thailand or living in Thailand now, please sit with what I've just explained. The country you are engaging with is not the country it thinks it is, and the gap between what it thinks it is and what it actually is the reason so many of your interactions with the country will produce outcomes that make no sense to you. The Thai political class, the Thai institutional apparatus, and the Thai media environment are all operating on a self-image that is not accurate, and every single interaction you have with any of them will be shaped by that inaccurate self-image. Adjust your expectations accordingly. Do not expect the country to see itself the way the outside world sees it. Do not expect to adapt to reality faster than its self-image will allow, and do not expect it to treat you as the equal partner you are, because its self-image does not permit that acknowledgement. You would think Thailand is the centre of the universe if you've listened to the specific way the country talks about itself. It is not. It is a middle-income Southeast Asian country with real strengths and real limitations, whose inability to see itself clearly is one of the very reasons it cannot solve its own problems, and one of the reasons that the Western foreigner is going to keep encountering the very specific frustrations he encounters for as long as he chooses to stay. Thanks for tuning in to today's Deep Dive, guys. I do appreciate it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers, and bye for now.